I never thought my own family would turn on me, but they did. The day of my grandma's will reading, I wasn't even invited. No call, no text, nothing. Just silence. I only found out it was happening through a cousin's offhand comment in a group chat. Stung, but it wasn't entirely shocking. My relationship with my family had been rocky for a while, mostly because I started speaking up. I stopped pretending everything was perfect. I asked questions. I challenged traditions. And in their eyes, that made me ungrateful. Grandma and I were close, closer than I think most people realized. She wasn't just a sweet old lady handing out cookies on holidays. She was sharp, kind, and always told me to stay true to myself, even when it was hard. So when I was left out of something as important as her will reading, it felt like a slap in the face. I started to wonder if maybe I had misunderstood our relationship. Maybe I had let her down without realizing it. But then, something unexpected happened. The lawyer handling her estate reached out to me directly. First, I thought it was a mistake. Why would he contact me if I wasn't included? But the moment I heard his voice, I knew. There was more to this story than anyone had told me. Apparently, Grandma had left behind a private letter and instructions that were meant only for me. That's when everything started to change. The truth about what was really in the will, and what my family had tried to keep from me, began to unravel. And trust me, they were not ready for what came next. Because what Grandma had planned was something none of them saw coming. Especially not me. The lawyer asked me to come in alone. He sounded calm but serious, like he knew something I didn't. I showed up the next morning, not really sure what to expect. My hands were shaking as I opened the door to his office. I kept thinking about how my family had cut me out. Was this some kind of trap? Or worse, had Grandma really left me nothing? But the moment I sat down, the lawyer handed me a sealed envelope with my name written in Grandma's handwriting. Just seeing it made my throat tighten. I hadn't seen her writing since before she passed. He told me to take my time. I opened the letter slowly, and what I read stopped me cold. Grandma knew what the rest of the family was planning. She saw it coming. In the letter, she wrote about the way I stood up for myself, how I didn't blindly follow the family's expectations, and how much she respected me for that. She said she wanted to make sure I was protected, even if others didn't agree with her decision. That's when the lawyer explained there was a second version of the will, one that wasn't shared with the rest of the family yet. According to Grandma's instructions, this version was to be revealed only if certain people acted exactly how they had. Turns out she didn't just see the future. She planned for it. She knew they'd leave me out. She knew they'd call me ungrateful. I couldn't believe it. My heart was racing, and for the first time in days, I felt a mix of anger and hope. But I still didn't know what was in that second will. And neither did the rest of the family. What Grandma had left behind would turn everything upside down. As I sat there holding Grandma's letter, my mind started racing. If she had planned all of this, if she predicted the way my family would treat me, what else had she seen coming? The lawyer said the second will included specific conditions. Until they were met, he couldn't disclose everything. But he did tell me one thing. My name wasn't missing. In fact, Grandma had left me something very important, something she didn't trust anyone else with. The rest of the family had no idea. They were celebrating, thinking I was out of the picture. But they had no clue what was really coming. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every argument, every cold shoulder from my relatives. My aunt had once told me I needed to know my place when I spoke up about how Grandma was being treated. My cousin accused me of being dramatic when I questioned why Grandma's care decisions were being made behind closed doors. I didn't realize then that speaking out would make me the black sheep, but now it all made sense. I wasn't kicked out for being ungrateful. I was shut out because I wouldn't stay silent. Meanwhile, word started spreading that I had met with the lawyer. My cousin texted me out of nowhere, pretending to check in. My uncle sent a vague message about family unity. It was almost laughable. They were nervous and it showed. I didn't respond. I wanted to see just how far they'd go to keep me in the dark. What none of them knew was that Grandma had left behind more than just a will. She left a trail. Notes, letters, maybe even evidence. And the deeper I looked, the more it felt like she had set something in motion that was only just beginning. The next few days were a blur. Every time my phone buzzed, I expected another fake-friendly message from someone in the family trying to fish for information. My cousin even suggested meeting for coffee, someone I hadn't heard from in months. It was clear the news of my visit to the lawyer had shaken them. They were worried, and they should have been. The lawyer said she wanted the truth revealed only if they showed their true colors after her death. And they had. But there was one catch. The lawyer couldn't act without my permission. Grandma had made me the executor of the second will. Me, the one they tried to cut out completely. The weight of it hit me all at once. If I moved forward, everything would change. Family secrets would be exposed. The reading of the new will would destroy the version they had carefully crafted to benefit themselves. I would be the one to pull that thread. That night, I sat in my car outside Grandma's old house, now locked up and dark. I held one of her letters in my hand, her words echoing in my mind. Tell the truth, even if your voice shakes. And mine definitely was. Because what was coming next would tear everything wide open. Just when I thought I had a grip on everything, the second twist hit me. And it came from someone I never expected. The next morning, I got a handwritten letter slipped under my apartment door. No return address, no name. Just my name on the front in shaky, familiar handwriting. I opened it and my heart stopped. It was from Grandma. But it wasn't one of the letters the lawyer had given me. This one was different. It was more personal, more urgent, and it mentioned something I hadn't heard before. A safety deposit box at a local bank. I rushed there, half expecting it to be some kind of mistake. But when the banker checked, he found the box listed under Grandma's name, with me as the sole person granted access after her passing. Inside were old family photos, a flash drive, and a sealed envelope. The envelope had only one sentence written on it. If they lie, show them the truth. My hands were trembling as I opened it. The contents changed everything. Inside were copies of financial records, transfers, property documents, and a signed confession written by my uncle. Apparently, Grandma had caught him moving assets behind her back years ago. She never went to court. She told him she'd stay silent if he promised to return everything and leave it alone. But he didn't. He kept going, just better at hiding it. And now the entire inheritance that the rest of the family had so proudly divided among themselves, it might have never belonged to them at all. I sat in my car staring at the documents, the flash drive heavy in my pocket. Everything I knew was crumbling. The truth wasn't just painful, it was explosive. And bringing it to light would mean burning every last bridge I had left. I took everything, the flash drive, the documents, the confession, and brought them straight to the lawyer. His expression shifted the moment he saw them. He didn't look surprised, just confirmed, like he'd been waiting to see if I'd follow through. Within days, he arranged a mandatory family meeting at the firm's office. Nobody knew why. The entire family showed up dressed in fake grief and polite smiles, whispering and side-eyeing me like I didn't belong. But when the lawyer walked in with the sealed second will in one hand and a folder of evidence in the other, the room fell completely silent. He started by reading Grandma's new instructions. She had rewritten the will just months before she passed, after realizing how deep the betrayal went. All the assets were to be frozen until an investigation was completed. The lawyer then revealed my uncle's confession, along with the records from the safety deposit box. My aunt's face went pale. My cousin started to protest, but the lawyer raised his hand calmly and said, "It's all legally binding." Then came the twist none of them saw coming. Grandma had left the majority of her estate not to me, but to a foundation she had quietly created in her name. It was meant to fund community programs, scholarships, and support for elderly care. She had always wanted to make a real impact, and she didn't trust the family to carry it out. My role? I was named as the person in charge of overseeing it. The room exploded into chaos. Accusations, shouting, disbelief. But I just sat there quiet, steady. Because for once, I wasn't the one who had to fight to be heard. Grandma had already spoken. And the truth, her truth, was louder than any of their lies ever could be. After the meeting, everything changed. The tension didn't disappear overnight. But the truth was out, and there was no way to hide it anymore. Some family members tried to deny what happened. Others went quiet completely. My uncle hasn't spoken to me since that day, and honestly, I'm okay with that. The silence feels more honest than the fake concern they used to show. What mattered most was that Grandma's voice was finally heard. even after she was gone. Running the foundation she created has been both overwhelming and healing. At first, I wasn't sure I was ready for that kind of responsibility, but then I remembered all the conversations I had with her, how she always encouraged me to stand up, to lead, to be different. Now I understand why. She wasn't just leaving behind money. She was leaving behind a legacy of truth, strength, and purpose. Every scholarship we award, every elderly support program we fund, it all feels like a part of her still lives on. The documents we found also cleared up years of confusion. Things that never made sense suddenly did, like why Grandma started keeping to herself more or why certain relatives got so controlling. She had seen everything but chose to handle it in her own way, protecting what mattered while trusting me to finish what she started. In the end, I didn't get the big inheritance my family thought I was chasing. What I got was more valuable peace of mind, closure, and a deeper understanding of the kind of person Grandma really was. And now, every time someone asks about what happened after the will reading, I just smile and say, it wasn't about the money. It was about the truth. And the truth always finds a way out.